Welcome to the Cambridge Dads Podcast, brought to you by the Center for Families and the Agenda for Children Literacy Initiative. I'm Luis Vasquez. In each episode, a Cambridge father will join us to share a personal story had with their own dad and how that experience helped to mold them as a parent now. In today's episode, we're joined by Cambridge native Shawn Proctor, who got a tip from his dad about first impressions. Thank you for joining the Cambridge Dads Podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. I'm excited to hear your story. Tell me a little bit about that. And then when you're done with that, how that has been incorporated in the way you father your own child, little Shawn.
So at the age of 12, my dad was picking me up. We didn't live in the same household. So I was going to hang out with him for the weekend.
Nice.
And when I got outside, he had looked at me and he said, "Shawn, what are you doing?" And I was stumped on what he was talking about. But he had went on to say that, my parents wasn't where it was supposed to be. So, my shirt wasn't ironed. I had like a stain on my jeans.
Okay.
And to me, in the moment, I was like, let me just throw on some clothes, get out the house, and me and him can kind of do what we had to do.
Right.
But in that moment, he took it upon himself to let me know how he felt. And to me, it was huge because my dad doesn't use too many words, man of few words.
Mm-hmm.
So when he talks and brings things up, it's usually important to him,
Right.
So he just went about it and said, Shawn, the way you carry yourself is very important. And you have to make a great first impression on people.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. I was like, what do you mean? What am I doing wrong? So in the moment, I'm still trying to figure out what he's actually talking about.
Did you go outside the same way you dressed to go and hang out with your friends?
Yeah. I was dressed as if I was going to the playground or, the park to shoot some hoops. Didn't really put too much thought into what I had on. And he was just saying, you have to make a great first impression on people. And the way you dress isn't doing that. So he just wanted me to put some more thought into how I looked and how I carried myself when I went out into the streets. And it was amazing because it stuck with me. At first I was kind of like, wow, like I didn't do the right thing, or I felt like I was in trouble in a sense. But I took time to think about it, and I looked at my peers, and I realized that I didn't want to come off the way they did at times, and not because they were doing anything wrong, but I heard a lot about wearing baggy jeans or wearing big hats that are covering my eyes, and what that can mean to some people that don't actually know me.
Right. So first impressions were important to your dad. He was trying to teach you a little bit about that.
I've held on to that, and I haven't changed who I am as an adult. I still wear jeans. They're not as baggy as they once were. I still wear hats, and they're fitted hats. They actually fit my head.
Right.
And now I have a son, so I took that lesson and I said, you know what? I want my son Shawn, to know the lesson that I learned at an earlier age. So I do things with him where we can pick out his clothes, and he can have some insight and say, Dad, I want to wear this, or I don't want to wear that. And he's 5 years old, but the kid is brilliant, I tell you.
Yeah.
And so I question him, like, why do you want that? And sometimes he says, Dad, I just want to play. I don't really care, which is great because he's a kid. And sometimes he thinks about it a little more like, well, this has red in it and my sneakers have red in it, so I kind of want to match,
Oh, nice.
Or if he spills like chocolate milk all over his shirt, I'll say, Shawn, don't worry about it. We're just in the house. He says, no, you told me that, it's the way, I'm supposed to be. So, there's a lot of lessons learned in that, it's one like taking care of yourself, you have the first impressions. And on the other end, it's, letting him know that it's okay for him to be a kid, and you don't always have to live by that standard. But as he grows, I want to continue to be, a part of his life, and to continue to say, hey, these things are important, and it's not make or break, but it could be make or break actually in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely. At what age do you hope, or have you started already talking to him about what first impressions mean and what they are?
I I talk to him about it now, but now it's more or less as far as attitude.
And he's how old? I'm sorry.
He's 5. He's 5.5.
Nice.
He's 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he'll be 5.5 next month if you want to be technical.
Party.
Yeah. But I talk to him now, but it's more, the first impression is more the attitude,
Right.
Or
Absolutely.
just, being courteous, saying hello to people, saying bye.
Yes.
Being polite and things in that nature. And I tell him, he has friends, and sometimes he can be mean. And I say, Shawn, well, if you continue this, your friends aren't going to want to play with you. Or how would you like it if so and so treated you the way you're treating this person?
Right.
And it's something that I have to continue to work on, and I feel like kids need that positive influence and the reinforcement. So I feel like it's a part of my job to be consistent in that, in order to see change. It's like planting the seed, right?
Yes.
You have to invest. And we're not going to see the turnaround right away, but in due time, I believe it will be there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your insight.
No problem, man. You got it. Anytime.
And that concludes episode 1. Thank you, the listener, for tuning in. Don't forget to learn more about the Cambridge Dads program. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter under Cambridge Dads. There's also a text campaign for dads full of great insight from studies on fatherhood, quotes, and activities happening around you. Just text the word father to 95577. Text the word father to 95577. And of course, thank you to the Center for Families and the Let's Talk campaign at the Agenda for Children for making this possible. Until next time, I'm Luis. Have a wonderful week.